I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Grey's Anatomy AfterBuzzers. What's up, guys? Thank you again for joining us for another after show of Grey's Anatomy. I'm your host, Benny Adams. So happy to be back with you guys. We have so much to talk about today. But first, I need to introduce you to my amazing co-host, Miss Haley.
Hey everybody, excited to be here, excited to talk about this episode. It was a good one.
Oh, it was definitely a good one. And we have so much more to talk about, including some juicy news and gossip from our Miss Haley. And also, we have our special segment, Doctor Who. So let's just dive right in.
Absolutely.
Haley, what did you think about this episode?
I really enjoyed this episode. I know, guys, I was a little out on last week's episode, but this one brought it right back around for me. This was everything that I love about Grey's Anatomy in this episode. From there was love, there was laughter, there was sadness, and that song at the end, whoo, it got me.
Yeah.
It really got me. And so overall, A+ episode for me.
Yeah, I liked it. I will say at the beginning, I was kind of unsure about it, but probably 10, 15 minutes in, I was hooked.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked about it. But let's start talking about DeLuca storyline and how we're introduced to Dr. Riley. And I love this storyline because she is the first deaf doctor on Grey's Anatomy. And this lady is a complete boss.
Yeah.
What did you think about all that?
I thought it was super interesting. I thought there's a little bit between DeLuca and her that I'm kind of confused as to how they met. Like, it seems like they're very familiar with each other from not just a friendly standpoint.
Right.
So I'm kind of picking up on some vibes there that might be interesting as we get to it. But overall, I thought it was incredible what she did, how they implemented her into the show, and just really brought a new and completely different angle. And giving a little tease here, which is why you want to stick around for my news and gossip, I actually have some really cool info given to how she got on the show and her relationship with the showrunner. So,
Nice. Yeah, and I have to say, I wasn't so... the patient Suzanne, her storyline has been going on. This is the third episode we've seen her in. I wasn't really feeling her storyline the past two times she was on the show. Now enter Dr. Riley, and I am hooked because we're seeing all of these different methods that she wants to do. She wants to start everything over. She wants to take Suzanne off of all the medication, which I don't think we've ever heard of on Grey's Anatomy. So I thought that was really cool, and it really helped, in my opinion, the storyline.
I definitely agree. I think they're finally continuing to really develop her as a character because right now she's just kind of been a patient. But this episode, we really got to see what she's like as a mother.
Right.
And just some more deep-rooted things to make us really start to love her and want to root for her to ultimately live.
Right, exactly. She becomes more of a two-dimensional, three-dimensional character. You know, she starts talking about her daughter and how she was just confused. Like, why didn't my daughter talk about kissing this guy? And then we find out when she's going under surgery that the guy was actually a girl. And I was just like, I love this.
See, I love this. I could tell, I don't know if it's just some internal spidey senses I have, but I could tell that was where they were going with it early on.
You're just good at that.
Because,
you can tell I'm like, how do you do this? How do you do this?
Well, in that situation, especially for how overreacted the daughter was at the scene when they were both in the hospital room, and she kind of confronted her daughter with like, why didn't you want to talk about this with me? And her daughter was like, and stormed out of the room. Like, I kind of had a feeling that was where they were going to lead it to, because if not, like, it kind of seemed a little too overreacting, but given that's kind of where I figured they were going to lead it.
I want to talk about the moment where Dr. Riley is talking to Suzanne's sister. And, you know, she has a very I feel like I shouldn't be laughing. She has a very heart-to-heart moment with her saying, you know, I have a sister. This is what I should do. This is what I would do. If I was in your position, you have to really think about this. Really, really touching
Amazing
moment. I was
face.
into it so much. And then we find out, oh, she doesn't have a sister. No, not whatsoever. And You would think I would be like, that's kind of shady of her to do that, but in a way, I wasn't mad whatsoever.
Agreed. I mean, it was a great performance by her because she had us fooled, but then like also she obviously had the room fooled that she was in, and for her to be able to have this heartfelt moment and really persuade the sister to feel a completely different type of way than she initially was, that's a great job on the actress's part, but then also a great job just in the show, the writing, because I was like, wow, that was really clever. Very clever.
I definitely hope we get to see more of Dr. Riley. Maybe she'll become a regular. Who knows? We'll see. But let's go over to Tom Karasik's storyline, and we find out that Catherine Fox has made the promise, crown. Yes, and she's bought the hospital, Pac North.
They did that quick, by the way.
I was surprised. I did not think that was gonna happen. I thought there were gonna be like a couple of storylines where we would see it work up to that. Yeah. But I was definitely surprised. Were you disappointed in Catherine? Because I know I was.
I mean, I gave my thoughts on Catherine last week. I said after last week's episode, I wasn't a huge fan of how they left it with her. I am happy, though, that they wrapped that quickly and just were like, okay, Alex Karev is no longer on the show. We're going to wrap this Pac North storyline, put everyone back on grays. Like, I appreciated how quickly they made that transition for us watching the show. Right. But it also led to one of my favorite lines from this episode was when Maggie and Jackson were talking about the situation.
Oh my gosh.
And Maggie was like, after we broke up, I went online and bought myself a pair of jeans. Catherine Fox goes to Paris and buys a hospital. Yes. And I was like, there's not a greater two sentences to summarize Maggie and Catherine Fox ever in the show.
Yes. And someone else that is on the petty train is Karasik. He is not letting Owen loose whatsoever. He is just making him go crazy. Everyone that works at Pac North has to interview all over again. And he's giving Owen the hardest time. And one thing that I do like, because it kind of did put some humanity in Tom, is when we're talking to Emilia and she says to Owen, you won. Karasik, this is him being hurt. You stole his girlfriend and he's just hurt. Now, not saying that this is okay for what he's doing, but it does give you a little insight of why he's doing it. And we knew why he was doing this, but I guess it just took her to say that for me to understand.
For sure. And I think, Tom has kind of been written in as being the king of petty. If Catherine Fox is the queen, he's for sure the king. And because my immediate thought, that it's well written into a character's just whole mantra when I immediately default to him being petty, because when he was interviewing Maggie and he's sitting there on his phone and she's like trying to talk about all these accolades and how great of a doctor she is, and he's just sitting there unamused, like I'm just thinking this is him being petty because Maggie quit on Karasik, and he obviously didn't want that, and so I thought he was just giving her a hard time throughout her interview, and then come to find out it actually was just she had a pass and he was just stalling. So I was like, wow, the fact that I immediately think that he's always being petty says a lot about what they've done for his character.
Exactly. Yeah, it was crazy to me. I want to talk about how, and I loved this scene. It's where Bailey decides to step up and say, you know what, we're family, we're gonna figure this out. They all go into this room and they say, hey, this is the deal, blah, 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 take it or leave it. And it took me back, I can't remember exactly what season, it was either season 6 or season 7, where all of them, it was them and a couple other doctors, they all went in there and they threatened to quit. And I forget why, but it took me back to that.
For sure.
Did you remember?
Yeah, I got the exact same vibes, and it was cool for me to see them all kind of be a united front again. It almost gave me kind of tingles from the season before the mid-season finale, or the episode before the mid-season finale of this year, when everyone came to support Meredith. It was kind of the same thing. Like, our OG doctors are all getting together to have a united front, and it was cool for me as a viewer to definitely see.
Right. Let's before we go any further, let's tell our viewers why we are so thankful for them.
Absolutely, guys. We're here to show you some love. You know, Valentine's Day is tomorrow, so we love and appreciate you. Without you, we could not be the ESPN of TV talk. We're so thankful for both Maria and Keven for allowing us to do what we love, but also thankful for you, because without you, we wouldn't be able to be here. I'm here twice a week on 4 shows. I love it here. Benny is doing some awesome things. I mean, guys, thank you so much for everything. If you're listening to us right now, make sure you slide on over, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Or if you're listening on any type of podcast, make sure you're giving us 5 stars, because we definitely appreciate it, and that's what keeps us going.
That was beautiful, Haley.
Well, thanks. Just spreading some love out here, guys.
All right, let's talk about Emilia and Link. I feel so sorry for Link, because I agree with him wholeheartedly. Like, he wants to know, and he has every right to know. And Emilia, I feel like she's kind of being a little selfish.
Yeah. I think it's more so that Emilia doesn't like situations that she isn't in complete control of. And I think she finally was at a point that she was happy. They knew the situation. She had a reason to basically choose Link over pursuing Owen, and she felt like all the world and all its forces were pushing her to Link. But now that she knows that this baby could be Owen's, I feel like it just kind of opened up this whole can of worms that she was suppressing about Owen, and it's making her think about a reality of her actually having a baby with Owen, which is definitely one reality that at one point in time she wanted.
Right.
So I think she's just in this huge case of denial, and she's living in this state of fear of like what could happen, instead of just ripping the Band-Aid off and figuring it out.
Exactly. And that's what I usually like about Emilia. She is the type of person, like you said, to just rip the Band-Aid off and figure it out. And this time, she's not doing it. And usually when she does do that, it works in her favor.
Agreed.
And now that she's holding this stuff back, it's not working in her favor. And it looks like it's just pushing Link further and further away. It's doing the exact opposite of what she wants.
And I mean, I definitely agree with Link in this situation. Like, I feel for him. I'm still very proud of him, because he is continuously, despite all of his fears about being a dad and being in a relationship and everything, he's still continuing to be there for Emilia. Like, he's reminding her, like, hey, I do love you, and I do want to be with you, but we've got to get this situation figured out, because he's right. It does affect his life. And he is also very right and validated in the fact that Emilia and Owen's relationship is complicated. It just is. So, and especially like the writers and the directors of the show are still doing a great job of like reminding us that there's still magic in the air between Emilia and Owen.
Right.
You know, when they had that scene that we talked about earlier where she kind of gave this great empathetic insight into what Karassik's going through, like you could just tell that there is still chemistry and like there was vibes there still. And I don't know how I feel about the writers like leading us on there. You know, it's like forcing me to think that this actually will be Owen's baby.
I've said it time and time. I'm almost positive it's going to be Owen's baby, but I've said it time and time again. I think Owen needs to be single. He needs to have a storyline that doesn't involve him in a relationship. Him in a drama-filled relationship.
I mean, but what show are we talking about,
Exactly.
Benny?
Exactly. So I don't think it would ever happen, you know?
That's just like who his character is. Like, unfortunately, it just is.
Right. Let's talk about Miranda and this foster kid that she is trying to help. So we find out that this guy, he's 17 years old, he's a foster kid, and he's living with other foster kids at first that we think are his relatives, his brothers and sisters. We find out that they are not related, but they're very close friends. What did you think about Bailey's attempt to just try and fight so hard for this kid to hopefully reunite him and his friends?
I think it's really respectable. I think it's very much a thing that Miranda Bailey does. I really love the fact that she had Ben look into his past to kind of figure out more about him. We learned that his parents died when he was 5, but he still is an A+ student, is a stellar human being, and she's telling us all these accolades about him and why he should almost get a chance. But what I think was the key to this storyline and more insight to take us deeper was the integration of Joe.
Yes.
Because how she found him and easily recognized when he was in the hallway trying to leave that he was lying. He said Nurse Jones, which again, I love her comment when she said, I would have gone with Smith, but Jones is good too, because those are just basically the two most generic names you could come up with on the spot. And so I love how they started to integrate Joe, because I will say, and as Joe continuously appears, I'm starting to have these fears of what are they going to do with Joe now? You know, what's going to happen with her on the show, because I feel like they can't just continuously talk about Alex being gone forever and ever.
She has that Link connection.
Yeah,
she has
that's
that.
True.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just making me worried for her. But I like that they brought her into the storyline.
Well, speaking of Joe and Karev, we get a little kind of taste of what's to come with Karev, because we know he's not on the show anymore. We don't know if he's going to come back and wrap up his storyline, but we get a scene with Joe talking to Emilia, and you know, she's pretty much saying he hasn't been returning my calls. He says he's been going through some stuff, and so it's pretty obvious that they're gonna break up.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it would be really, really unfortunate, and unfortunate to us as fans, if the writers just kind of fizzle Karev out. I know that there was kind of some tension in the way he left the show, but from both parties, but I just feel like we have to, like, think about your audience, think about your fans, think about us. Like, Alex Karev deserves a better ending than just, he's dealing with family issues and he's not returning my phone calls and he just fizzles out. Like, I will not like it if they do that. Especially
what we've seen these two go through.
Exactly.
They have gone through so much, and they've become such a strong couple, especially last season where Joe was going through so much. We really saw both Alex and Joe grow through that situation. So it kind of would be a little slap in the face if we see it just end like that.
Yeah. Like she just goes back to being, she'll be sad and then that's it. And then we'll just write her a new significant other.
They have to think of something amazing. Like, I don't know, but we'll have to see.
Maybe I have a prediction. That just triggered a prediction for me.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yep. Stay tuned.
Let's talk about Schmidt. I love Schmidt. This guy continues to impress me like no other. He has a patient that we find out has cancer that spread throughout her lungs and throughout her whole entire body.
Sweet Irene.
Yeah. And, you know, he's very heartbroken about this. And he does a favor for her husband. And they do like this little ballroom dance. And Schmidt, he kind of has a realization. What did you think about his talk?
I think ultimately just kind of the whole way that they brought this storyline along and the way they're continuing to develop Schmidt's character is really unique, especially given this episode. I mean, I loved this storyline. I did. I am a hopeless romantic to a fault. And so just seeing the love story and the chemistry of both of the two characters was really, really cool for me to see. Every time they were there, it was just so sweet and pure and genuine. And I loved it. And then ultimately, Schmidt does this hopeless romantic act, helping them. And then he has the realization, as you said. So, I mean, I am proud of him. I think it's going to be whether or not they can move forward in this, because we did see the kind of tiff between them in the beginning. Where he's just kind of living there, doesn't have a real home anymore. So I think it's going to just take him to step up, grow up, and go get his own place. Right.
And I do like the fact that, you know, he was the one that said, you know, I want this and I want that. And that you can tell that he's growing in the relationship, and it's not just about the physical aspect of it. So I thought that was really cool. And I felt that this patient and her husband pretty much wrapped up this entire episode, and it was pretty much about family. This entire episode, you know, We have the Krasik storyline where Bailey says, you're not going to do this to my family anymore. And they all stick together and they come up with a solution. And, Emilia and Link, they're trying to figure out how
what's going on with their family.
Start this family. So how they're going to do this. And then you have DeLuca and his patient and what she's going through with her daughter and her sister. So it was all about family, and it was an amazing episode. Yeah. I loved it. Did you have anything you wanted to?
Same. No, that's wraps it up for me. I will say the one thing I wanted to comment on is I like how they're riding the ship with Maggie. Mm-hmm. And that she kind of seems like you triggered me thinking about it when you brought back up Susanna and her family, because that scene at the end where she's giving this mini message to Maggie about how much her daughters need her and her family, and the way that Maggie presented herself in the operating room, I was like, Maggie's back.
She's back.
She's back.
She's back. And she's ready. And I thought I would be disappointed about that because I really wanted to see that storyline of her go a little bit deeper. But then, I was like, you know what? She doesn't really need that.
Agreed.
She went through what she went through. She had that talk. Yep. And now she's bigger and better than ever.
Yeah.
So
let's hope. Yeah. Let's hope. We technically don't know, but it seems like she is.
Fingers crossed, you guys. Fingers crossed. All right. Let's move to our special segment,
Woohoo.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. We're still carrying it on.
We're still doing
Lanisha
it.
Not being able to join us.
Hopefully, I fill her shoes very well, but we'll see. So, you guys play along with us. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. And let's see if you can get them.
Woohoo.
All right. So this first one. Don't let what he wants... Oh, I'm already messing up. What did I write? Don't let what he wants dictate what you need. He's very dreamy, but he's not the sun. This is a pretty easy one.
My guess is Christina.
Yes,
okay,
Christina Yang. Did our listeners get it?
Not yet. Not yet. No.
All right, let's go to the second one.
One for Haley.
One for Haley. All right, this one might be a little harder. You can have the worst crap in the world happen to you, and you can get over it. All you gotta do is survive.
I'm gonna take a really big guess.
Yeah. All right.
Bailey.
What are our listeners saying?
They're thinking. They're debating right now. Yep.
I'll give you guys some extra time. I'll say it again. You can have the worst crap in the world happen to you, and you can get over it. All you gotta do is survive.
We have no guesses currently. So who said it?
It is Alex Karev.
Dang.
Our one and only Alex Karev, who we miss so much.
Dang. My guess was Bailey.
Bailey?
Yeah. It was just like a tough moment kind of thing.
I have to switch it up. I
feel like we haven't done an Alex quote either.
Yeah, I don't
think we've ever done one from him.
Yeah, I don't remember. But let's go to some news and gossip.
Woohoo! All right.
I'm ready for this.
Guys. So, as of an hour ago, reported by Yahoo Lifestyle, Patrick Dempsey is headed to the Olympics. He's going to be an honorary captain of the U.S. cycling team, and he's going to be there to raise awareness. So he said, in quote, "I have been a passionate cyclist for years now, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, one that I could not pass up," he told the Portland Press Herald. Additionally, he said, "Cycling is not just a sport, it's a lifestyle and important to bring awareness to the world." So, Patrick Dempsey, Tokyo 2020, he's going to be there. I mean, that's just pretty awesome.
I'm here for it.
What better person to bring awareness?
That is so sick.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. And then additionally, talking about our Dr. Riley, Variety has reported that she is the first recurring deaf doctor on a primetime network series. So that does mean she's going to be reoccurring, which is awesome. Yeah. Krista Vernoff, who's the showrunner, she let us know that she actually met Shoshana Stern back in 2019 at the Television Academy Foundation. They were both on a panel about representing disabilities in storytelling. And after they met, Stern ends up saying that, "I don't know if I've ever invented a character because I fell in love with an actor." So she basically created this character into the show off of Shoshana and after that meeting. The really cool part, though, however, she said, for Riley, I wanted her to sign. She deals with people's bodies, and you can use your entire body to sign. So I thought it would carry a special kind of weight. My deaf cousin, who's also named Lauren, hence Dr. Lauren Riley, is a nurse that uses an interpreter at work, and my husband does a lot of video relay interpreting in the medical field. So the inspiration for me for how Riley would communicate was crossbred between my cousin and my husband.
How cool is it? And I see, this is why I liked her. I knew there was a reason why I really liked her.
Yeah, because she went on in the article, again, it's by Variety if you want to read more about it, but she said that she's actually turned down roles because they wouldn't let her sign. And about 10 years ago, she lost her agent because she turned down an audition because they just wanted her to speak English and show that side of her without actually letting her sign. So,
you know,
Grey's Anatomy.
This is what happens when you stick your ground and like you feel it and you know what's right.
Absolutely.
Good things will happen. Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
I always say
and now she's a doctor on Grey's Anatomy, which is incredible.
One of the biggest shows in the country.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Good for her. I like it.
Yep. So those are my news.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let's go to our predictions.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
What you got?
All right. So I will begin. What if, guys, this is kind of a big one. What if Joe in the Alex Karev situation, I thought of this just now, but what if Joe ends up being with Link? Because we know they're best friends. Like this whole Emilia thing could go and she ends up being with Owen, or Emilia doesn't end up being with anyone. And then Link and Joe kind of seem like a natural bridge to this whole Karev situation.
I 100% agree with you because I just don't see where else she can go to. You know, I don't see the writers introducing a new love interest for her because that's just kind of starting all over. At least with Link, she has history with him.
Unless, I will say the only other kind of path I could see them taking is, this is kind of one of our predictions we discussed together, but we kind of foresee Miranda actually adopting Joey.
Yeah.
But as I'm kind of thinking about it, Joey obviously wants to be with his siblings. So
what is she adopted all for?
See, I can't see Miranda taking on that, but I could see Joe.
Joe?
I could see Joe deciding, because she's always wanted a child.
That.
She's wanted a family. So I could see her kind of taking in all three of these children and really helping them. So
that's a good one. I really like that one. All right. I think that, and there are some people who are not going to like me for this, but I think Maggie and Maggie and
the guy from Station 19?
No, Jackson.
Okay.
I don't know why I blinked on his name. I think that Maggie and Jackson are going to get back together.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
I do. Every time, it's the same kind of like vibe, and it might just be like the way the characters are comfortable with one another, so their chemistry just oozes through the screen.
Yeah.
But in the same way that I get Emilia and Owen vibes, I get the same thing every single time that Maggie and Jackson are on the screen together.
And they had like this little conversation that made me say, you know what, they definitely are. It's when they're both in the locker rooms and Maggie says, they're talking about Richard and Catherine, and Maggie says, do you think there's any saving them?
Yep.
And Jackson says, I really don't. I hope so.
Yep.
And I felt like this was kind of marrying their relationship.
Yeah.
They're going to get back together.
Okay, see, I like your mirroring thought, because my thought on the flip side, if I'm like writing the show, this is my guess, is that Jackson is going to end up having a tough time with the realization that Richard and Catherine are not going to be together anymore, and he's not going to know how to discuss his feelings with Vic, so he's going to go to Maggie for it, and then end up realizing he has feelings for her. Maggie's going to kind of pull him through it, and then they're going to end up getting back together.
I really don't see Vic staying in it too long, because unless they're showing some of Jackson in Station 19 with Vic, then that's a different story.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. But
Sorry,
who knows?
guys.
Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see. Thank you guys again so much for joining us for another after show of Grey's Anatomy. This was so much fun.
Yep.
I'm your host, Benny Adams. You can find me on all social media at Benny J. Adams.
And I'm Haley Graves. You can find me on Twitter at Haley1Graves2 and on Instagram, Haley Graves with 2 S's, and I'll see you all later tonight. I will be hosting for Legacy.
Oh, yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. We will see you next week.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.